Howdy folks, it's Ajo, the hunting gear guy. I really like these SKS rifles. For the longest time, these things were right around 200 bucks, so price-wise, fantastic. Shoot a real cheap cartridge, really reliable, really fun guns to kind of take to the range and shoot. But one of the things that they could use an improvement on is the trigger's a little bit heavy, quite draggy, quite heavy. This one, for example, it's right around 6 pounds. I'll show you some footage here of me pressing the trigger, but it's a little bit long, got a little bit of drag to it, and that trigger press is quite heavy. So one thing I did recently here was pick up an Mcarbo spring kit from Bullseye North. They had a whole bunch of different springs. I was primarily looking for my Savage Axis, but they had this SKS one. I'm like, oh, why don't I just do that to help out my SKS trigger? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to work over this trigger and see if we can't get it down a couple of pounds. So all our action really is in this little trigger pack here. So what we're going to do is hinge the magazine open, check to make sure that we've got nothing in the magazine, nothing in the chamber. We're going to put the safety on, press at that button right at the bottom there, and then pull our trigger group out. All right, there's our trigger pack, there's our hammer spring, and the spring that we're going to be replacing is that one right there. That is, it kind of performs double duty. It's both the mag catch spring and the sear spring on the inside there. So all we need to do is pull this pin out. That'll give us access to the spring. And if all we were going to do is replace that spring, easy enough. We pop the new spring in there. And we're done. I'm also going to look at some of the different surfaces in there and see if I can't clean them up as well. So first things first, I'm going to nail that. I'm going to hit this pin out right here. You'll need a drift to get them out, and a hammer and a nice surface to hit them out on. All right, I've hammered my drift in there. You can see you don't actually have to take this pin right out. You just leave it kind of hanging there. I'm going to hold this bottom here to kind of retain that spring, take this out. And now I can remove that and that. Oh, man, I didn't clean the Cosmo out of there very good. There's still lots of Cosmoline in there. So I'm going to clean that and look to what else I want to take apart and clean here. Now to remove the sear, what I'm going to need to do is press this down. Watch that little piece of metal. See that piece of metal right there? That's kind of like, you kind of have to match those two up and then pull the trigger. That's going to cause this hammer to go forward, so you're going to need to cover that as well. So I'm just going to take my safety off, hold the hammer, press that forward, and then pull the trigger. I think I missed it that time. Oh, there we go. There, I got it. And that hammer will go forward. Now I can pull my sear out. There we go. So here's our sear. And the parts where the hammer actually grabs onto are right on the top here. You can see that they're a little bit polished up. If I wanted to, I could polish those, or I could just shoot the gun. I'll probably just shoot it and not worry about having to polish those, because the hammer will polish itself against those if you fire enough rounds. You can watch some videos. They'll talk about how to pull this face back to reduce the sear engagement. There's some risk with that, though, because if you change this angle, or if you pull it back too far, you're going to need to get a new sear. So don't do that unless you're really comfortable with it. At the minimum, if you just wanted a nice smooth gun, just make sure that these surfaces are nice and clean, and that there's nothing like gunky built up inside your trigger group like there is in mine, and then go ahead and replace this spring. All right, and here we can see the Mcarbo springs versus the factory spring that's built into it. So there's the factory one compared with the 3.5 and the 2.5, and you can see that there's quite a big difference there. This little guy here bounces in pretty easily. This one not bad, and the factory one is pretty stiff. So I think I'm going to go with this light one. I'm going to rebag these accordingly and pop that guy back in there. I've just popped that over so that the hammer is sitting on top of it right now. And then I've got my spring and carrier. And those are just going to kind of slide in here. Just going to make sure that that spring is centered in that little hole there. There it goes. Just heard it go bing. And now I'm just going to hang on to it while I pound that pin in. All right, I've got that new spring in there, that nice light one. Ooh, that mag catch sure is light, and I bet you the trigger press is going to be light as well. So let's slap this back in that SKS and see what it did for us. All right, any bets? Any bets on this thing? So all I'm going to do is, these legs here need to grab into the mag there, so I'm just going to push it in and under there. Am I getting it? Am I getting it? That's it, right? Yep. Push it in together, and I'll just give it the old slap. Get in there. There it goes. And now it's in. All right, moment of truth. Let's see what this has done to the trigger. All right, I am going to pull the trigger back here. And looks like we're just short of 4 pounds. What's it done to the feel? It's very light. It's still got some grit to it, but like that's the SKS trigger. There's not really much I can do about that. Let's try it again. And there was 311. Try to raise it up here so you guys can see. And 4 pounds. So it looks like we're right around 4 pounds now. Quite a bit lighter. And the other thing I'm going to do to test this out is do a drop test. I'm going to drop it actually on the ground here and just see if it goes off. And it's not going to, because this trigger, like there's so much length to actually press this trigger. It's not going to be any issues with dropping it. Next thing I'm going to test out is hammer follow. So I'm going to press the trigger. Again, I'm empty. My mag's empty. I'm going to press that trigger down. I'm going to run the bolt like it would if it was semi-auto. And I'm going to see if that hammer followed it. And it didn't. I just heard the sear reset there. So I would say that this is a very easy little mod to do. Very quick to do, as you could see. You just hammer one pin out and then change a spring out, and then you're done. And it's a quick way of just cleaning up the trigger just a little bit on this SKS rifle. Thanks for watching.